We begin the news by telling you that barring any unforeseen circumstances, the former governor of Kogi State, Alhaji Yahaya Bello, has been arraigned at the Federal High Court in Abuja. The former governor will be docked by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on 19-count charges of alleged money laundering. He appeared before Justice Emeka Nwite where his plea will be taken. Although the arraignment was slated for January 27 next year, it was gathered that the EFCC pushed for breaking for the arraignment following the presence of the former governor before the anti-graft agency. Now, this will be the second time the EFCC will be putting Bello on trial, having docked him on Wednesday, November 27, before the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT, on alleged breach of trust. To judicial matters now, where the FCT High Court in Maitama has ordered the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to keep in custody the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, till December the 10th this year, until the ruling of his bail application has been made. The anti-graft agency had arraigned the embattled governor, asking the court to deny him bail after he has evaded arrest on different occasions. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
The embattled ex-governor Yahaya Bello appeared in court alongside his alleged accomplices for the first time after resisting arrest by the anti-graft agency. Bello pleaded not guilty to the 16-count charge leveled against him by the EFCC, bordering on conspiracy, illegal possession of several properties, and criminal breach of trust amounting to 110 billion naira. After taking their pleas, Joseph Daudu, counsel to Bello, moved the bail application for the former governor, but counsel to the EFCC opposed the application, arguing that the application had been invalid since October. Making further clarifications, the counsel to the defendant says that the only relevant application before the court was the motion for the bail in respect to the first defendant, which is the ex-governor, which was filed on November the 22nd. The court then fixed December the 10th to rule on the bail application. Attempts to get the reaction of the counsel failed as they refused making comments. The complexity involved in the ex-governor Yahaya Bello case is the fact that the ex-governor has evaded arrest several times. He has refused to turn up in court despite invitation from court, and now the AFCC has found an opportunity of arraigning him. And of course, the time given between now and will give the EFCC ample opportunity, ample time to be able to file their processes very well, to be able to be sure that they are going to have the governor from the beginning to the end of the case. Here in Abuja, for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
That was our correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudu, giving us an update on the arraignment of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Now, to discuss more on this, we're joined by a public affairs analyst, Lester Wilcox. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilcox, for joining us. I'll start by asking, how significant would you say the legal challenge is facing former governor Yahaya Bello, and what impact could this have on his political future, especially in light of his high-profile role in Kogi State?
Well, there is no significance as far as I'm concerned. Yahaya Bello is not the first governor to be arraigned by the EFCC or the first person, the first high-profile person to be arraigned in Nigeria. It's the same, but unfortunately, the case of Yahaya Bello has taken a new turn because of the twists that occur within the Yahaya Bello's case. I don't know why Yahaya Bello was allowed himself to be dragged to this level, whereby he's now being his bail application is now being subjected to this kind of uncertainty. We've had in the past governors, Governor Biano was immediately arrested after he left power. So many other governors were immediately arrested and brought before the EFCC, before the courts, and they are all granted bail, and of course the case will be stalled. But unfortunately, Yahaya Bello created more problem for himself by some of the shenanigans that took place. His refusal, invading arrest, refusal to appear before the court and all whatnot. So that is where Nigerians are watching out what will be the outcome of Yahaya Bello's case. If not for that, I tell you, the judge fixing December 10, which is like 2 weeks away from now, it wouldn't have happened. It would have just fixed maybe 2 days, and then the man will be granted bail in some very treacherous conditions, but which will be met immediately. and the man will be, will be in his home, and the case will start being frustrated. But in this case, Nigerians are watching what will come. I cannot for certain say whatever significant it is, because Yahaya Bello is just like an ordinary citizen. He was the governor of Kogi State, yes, that is just like every other governor. And as of today, he's an ordinary citizen. So I don't see any significance about his case, because some other governors have passed through that.
Right. Now, talking about public trust, how do you think this case will influence the trust of the public in the anti-corruption institutions like EFCC? We see that they've been pursuing the case for a long time, especially if there are delays or perceived bias in legal proceedings.
Very important question, my dear sister. Very important question. Look, I am a keen watcher as to what will come out of this Yahaya Bello's case. Not because I have anything personal against Yahaya Bello, but is a man I like. I mean, among most of the governors, Yahaya Bello is I think one of the few I have met one-on-one. I've had a one-on-one discussion, and I enjoy the few time I spent with him. And so he's a very intelligent man, and someone that Nigerians should look up to for some kind of stability in terms of governance. But unfortunately, Yahaya Bello shot himself on the foot by what has happened in the past. And so I am looking at it from the angle that a Nigerian, an individual can want to talk down on our institution. You see, the EFCC is our institution. The court is our institution. It's the institution that builds Nigeria. And Yahaya Bello chose the path of wanting to rubbish those institutions. By him evading arrest, by him refusing to appear in court, by him creating some unsavory situations. That is where Nigerians are watching what will the EFCC will do. Because what is happening to the EFCC today is not just the EFCC, it's our collective mentality that is being brought that is being trampled upon. And that's what Yahaya Bello has done. And I tell you, Nigerians are watching. I'm keenly watching as to what will this case be. I will be sad, I will be shocked if the court to whom Yahaya Bello has hitherto has previously ignored, the court to whom Yahaya Bello has previously ignored and refused to appear before will grant him a bail. I will be very, yes, bail is everybody's right. But when somebody has presented himself in a manner that defies the institutions that we are all ready to protect, I think some new stringent measures need to be taken. So I'll be surprised if EFCC will not vehemently oppose Yahaya Bello's bail, and so that Yahaya Bello will face trial and be told in clear terms that nobody is above the law. And our institutions is our institutions. There's even between a person running the EFCC and the EFCC as an institution. So anybody that wants to trample on that institution, Nigerians should all stand to condemn it. And that's where I stand. So Nigerians want to see this case, because already there are tongues that are wagging that even his surrendering himself is as a result of backroom discussion. Maybe there has been some rapprochement, just like the same scenario that would take place, some rapprochement with EFCC and with some powers that be before he had to turn himself in. The moment this matter has taken for a long time, it's over, 4 to 6 months, that Yahaya Bello has been invading arrests, hiding, running, and all whatnot. So if today he submitted himself, Nigerians are watching to know if it was a kind of discussion, a kind of pade arrangement, whereby he will come, arraign, granted bail, the next thing, oh, he's sick, his passport should be given to him, he's going abroad for treatment, and then the case will drag on forever, and at the end of the day, the case will be striked off. Nigerians, I am keenly watching, because I'm not watching because I have anything against Yahaya Bello. I'm watching because of our institutions. Our institutions are being trampled upon every day by individuals, and Yahaya Bello has done that. Invading arrest, lawful arrest, refusing to honor a lawful invitation, refusing to appear before the court, even when the court asks you to appear. These are grievous crimes against the state, not just against the people of Kogi. These are things that we should not condone in our society, because if we destroy the purpose of our society, then nobody has a society to hold on to. And for me, that is where I'm concerned. I think that's where most Nigerians are concerned.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your thoughts, Lester Wilcox. It's a very important point that you have raised, and it's just like you, the whole world is watching to see how this case is going to be handled, especially disgruntled Nigerians. So thank you so much for joining us, and let's see how it pans out.
Thank you for having me. May God bless Nigeria, and may God continue to protect our troops. Thank you.
And bless you too. Thank you. All right, to more stories now. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has struck down Section 2, subsection 10B of the National Broadcasting Code, 6th edition, which required broadcasters to pay 2.5% of their gross annual income as an annual operating levy. This judgment followed a suit filed by MultiChoice Nigeria Limited and Details Nigeria Limited against the National Broadcasting Commission. Delivering judgment on Wednesday, Justice Omotosho ordered that the provision be struck down and replaced with net annual income instead of the existing gross annual income. The court also barred the National Broadcasting Commission from demanding the plaintiff's VAT remittance, FIRS reports, bank statements, audit adjustment journals, trial balances, and general ledgers for the purpose of computing the plaintiff's annual income other than the annual audited accounts of the companies as stipulated in the NBC Code. The judge stated that the NBC can only access the other financial documents of MultiChoice through sister agencies such as the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. Now, a late evening fire broke out last night at Radio Nigeria's office located on plot number 35 Ikoyi Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. The cause of the fire remains unknown as firefighters from the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service alongside other emergency responders, actively managed the situation. According to a statement by Margaret Adesheye, Director of the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, the agency was alerted at approximately 5:30 p.m. Firefighters from the Dolphin, Ebute Elefon, and Oba Onitolo fire stations arrived to combat the flames, which had engulfed the studio section of the building. No casualties have been reported, and investigations are still in progress. Authorities have promised to keep the public updated as more information becomes available. Now, standing by to give us updates on the fire incident is our correspondent, Chidima Ona, who is at the site of the incident. Hello, Chidima. Good afternoon. If you can hear me, what is the situation on ground right now?
We are currently at the broadcasting house in Ikoyi, and we arrived here, although everywhere seems calm currently, but it feels like the fire fighting service, they've really contained it. And we have the superintendent of fire here who would like to speak to us about this. So can you kindly... So I'll just quickly speak to the superintendent of fire here. Sir, good afternoon. Kindly introduce yourself, sir.
Good afternoon. I am Superintendent of Fire, Okeki Kechuku, Station Commander, Federal Fire Service, Oniko Station.
Okay, sir. So what was the response like to containing this fire, sir?
Well, we received the fire around 17:55 yesterday. Before 6 p.m., my appliance arrived here, and we started battling the fire with the help of Lagos Fire and Rescue Services. Nigerian Army also turned out the appliance with the Navy. So we curtailed the fire till around 11:30 p.m. when the fire came down. You can see my men are still around in case there is a reignition of the fire before we can now turn back to our station.
Okay, so were there any specific challenges in putting out the fire?
Well, the specific challenge is there is that this is what we are called for, it's what we are trained for, and when we get to see something like this, fire sees us and it comes down. So once we meet the fire will definitely know that, we have seen the people that are our enemy, and the fire will go. So there's no specific challenge that we face.
Okay, sir. So lastly, how long did it take for you guys to contain this fire?
Well, because of the nature of the studio room, that was why it took us like 4 or 5 hours to put out the fire, because of the nature of the studio room and the nature of what is burning. So that's why. But within 2-3 hours, the fire was contained and everything is calm.
Okay, Blessings, if you can hear me, we just heard from the superintendent of fire on ground here, and that team were able to contain the fire. So far, it's been calm and everywhere has been peaceful, although they were able to salvage some properties. And I can tell you that it seems to be all right at the moment.
All right, Chidimana, thank you so much for giving us the live information from Ikoyi, where the fire started earlier today. All right, to speak more on this, we're joined by the Chief Fire Officer and Head Public Education of Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Amodu Shakiru. Good afternoon, sir. All right, can you hear me? Mr. Shakiru, can you hear me? Unfortunately, at this time, we're struggling to connect with Mr. Shakiri, but definitely we'll join him again to speak more on the fire. In the meantime, giving you more stories now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu arrived in Paris on Wednesday for a 3-day state visit aimed at strengthening Nigeria-France relations. Welcomed with military honors by the French Republican Guard at Orly Airport, President Tinubu's official engagements began on Thursday at the historic Les Invalides, where he will meet French President Emmanuel Macron and First Lady Brigitte Macron. The visit will focus on boosting ties in agriculture, security, education, health, energy, and youth engagement. Key events include bilateral talks, a session with the France and Nigeria Business Council, and a state dinner. The First Ladies would also discuss initiatives supporting women, children, and vulnerable groups. Now, ahead of the 2027 general elections, the presidential candidate of the 2023 presidential election, Peter Obi, has met with some chieftains of the All Progressives Congress from Kano to discuss on a possible coalition aimed at wresting power from the ruling APC. Now, Obi met with A. Zara at his Aso Drive residence in Abuja behind closed doors for over an hour, as many suspect the meeting is part of moves to reposition himself as a prime contender in the upcoming 2027 general elections. Zara was an All Progressives Congress senatorial candidate for Kano Central during the 2023 general elections and is regarded as a key political figure in the state. Still talking politics, the Edo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has criticized Governor Monday Okpebolo and Health Commissioner Dr. Cyril Adam Oshomole for alleging poor work on the recently inaugurated Stella Obasanjo Hospital in Benin. The 270-bed facility, rebuilt by former Governor Godwin Obaseki, was inaugurated by former President Olusegun Obasanjo on the 6th of November 2024. Dr. Oshomole inspected the hospital and reported structural flaws, claiming construction was incomplete and equipment unprocured. Okpebolo, however, labeled the project as deceptive, pledging to fix defects. Obaseki dismissed the accusations as baseless and diversionary. The PDP defended Obaseki, accusing Oshomole of hypocrisy, citing his father's role in a collapsed hospital project that killed 2 people during his tenure as governor. We now head to the parliament, where some lawmakers protested against the motion to suspend its rules and proceedings to allow the chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Zaccheaus Adedeji, and the chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, into the Red Chamber. This was after the Senate suspended its rules to admit Adedeji and the consultants into plenary to explain what the tax reform bill entailed. However, before they were admitted, a slight uproar ensued as some lawmakers kicked against the FIRS chairs and the consultants' entry to the chamber. Now, the heated exchange underscored the growing tension surrounding the tax reform bill, which has drawn widespread public interest and concern over its potential impact on Nigeria's economy.
Most appropriately, I don't see anywhere whereby the senators should allow these people to come here and make the kind of interactions they so want. However, committees of the Senate and Appropriation can invite for the interaction of this manner, but not the Senate in session. I think our rule does not cover invitation to consultants or any official of government to come and bring the sentence. I so submit.
Use the position of the Senate, because the order paper is clear, and we have been doing this. I have no problem having them to come here and explain whatever. We have been doing that, but we follow known procedures, and that is if today this thing has to be taken, you now quickly ask for supplementary order paper that will reflect this. And as you say, this is a very, very important matter. It is not a matter that you just come and tell us after we are doing business of the day. Mr. President, you can have your way. but I will have my say. You will have your way, but I can have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
This arrangement, we want to be open. We want Nigerians to know, we want everybody to know what's wrong here. We are trying to make everything open, live. Let everybody listen. The chairman is here. And why are you saying you don't want that to be done? This is wrong. 1B, which the leader came under. Can you read order 1B for me, please? Can you read order 1B? Okay. Order 1B read as follows. In all cases not provided for in this standing order, or by sectional or other orders or practice of the Senate.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, the House of Representatives has taken a decisive step to address rising concerns over unverified point-of-sale operators across the country. Lawmakers have summoned the Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Cardoso, along with CEOs of commercial banks to answer critical questions on the issue. This resolution follows a motion raised by John Okafor, representing Ehime Bano Uboma, Obowo Federal Constituency, during the plenary. Okafor highlighted the risks of undocumented POS users, citing rising fraudulent activities and calling for measures to protect financial transactions. He criticized regulatory lapses and urged immediate action to combat illicit practices. Now, Plateau State has joined about 20 other states across Nigeria to pay the 70,000 naira minimum wage to civil servants in their various states as agreed with labor unions, owing to the current economic hardship in the country. This was confirmed by the Plateau State chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the head of civil service in the state, and the chairman, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria. In exclusive interviews with News Central's Chizoba Anyuwe in Jos, the Plateau State capital, they said the deal was agreed upon between the labor unions in the state and the state governor, Caleb Mutfwang. According to them, implementation of the deal, which translates into payment of the agreed sum, is effective November 2024.
The state government has agreed to pay the 70,000 minimum wage and all the consequential adjustments therein. We signed an agreement with the unions about a week or so ago. We are going to start with the November salary, and I want to believe this week or early next week they will get their November salary with the new minimum wage.
For fears of maybe the sustainability of the payment, I think he has also been taken care of for the future. So we don't pray for that anyway. But I think the governor has graciously looked into that, and he's willing to see to it that he don't start and then he fails. I think it's part of the condition he gave. You know, the implementation and then sustainability forms part of the negotiation as of the time we were.
Actually, we've been having a little bit problem with the workers. They are not coming up to work. So actually, with this minimum wage, they should tidy up, because everybody should have to come to work specifically. If not that, we have to take a strong measure, serious measure of how people should be prompt in their duty posts.
Now, to sustain the fight against substance abuse, and stakeholders say sensitization, on the negative effects of the menace should be taken to the nooks and crannies of Abia State. In line with this, the state government recently constituted the Abia State Drug Control Committee as a vehicle to help spread the message of ending substance abuse. Chinwe Ugele reports that part of the action plans are to reduce production and trafficking of illicit drugs and dismantling of drug dealers' den.
The sight of young people with mental illness roaming the streets of the cities is always a reminder that more attention needs to be given to children while still in the care of their parents. The commander of the National Drug Law Emergency Agency, Adelawa Adetunji in Abia State, gives his assessment of the prevalence of the substance abuse.
Yes, it is very high, and on top of our games.
Within 1 year, he says the command has prosecuted and convicted over 100 persons over substance abuse in the state.
Our efforts to at least limit the way drugs are being trafficked or used in Abia. There are notable places that we have taken the war to.
Beyond the punitive measures being meted out to the victims, the need to correct and redirect them was equally highlighted.
Our orientation on this position is that we are always condemning drug addicts without knowing that we are equally addicted to one type of drug or the other.
The growing concerns of the increasing cases of victims of illicit drug abuse ravaging the active population in Abia State is the reason for the constitution of a Committee on Drugs Abuse Control.
A task of sensitization, a task of ensuring that we reach to the most remote communities, letting them know that this is something that we shouldn't be doing. We want people to be sound.
The resource persons are unanimous in their position that everyone needs to contribute in discouraging people from consuming illicit substances.
Madness in the society. You see that people are no longer thinking aright. People are no longer acting aright. More especially our youth, you see them running riots.
Wife of Abia State Governor Priscilla Oti is calling on all opinion molders to support the fight against substance abuse.
You have the strength, resilience, and capacity to overcome addiction and live a healthy, fulfilling life. I call on our people to shun the stigmatization of substance abuse victims. This could limit their willingness to seek help.
For the population that is most hit by this trend, how well informed are they about the dangers of illicit drug consumption?
Drug abuse is not meant to be someone's life. It's not meant to be someone's part of life. It's not meant to be an attitude in someone's life. It's something everybody should isolate.
The committee, which membership is drawn from all sectors of economy, will be inaugurated on a later date. In Omaha for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugele.
Music, more than any other art form, has the power to capture the heartbeat of a society. In Nigeria, Afrobeats and hip-hop have become much more than entertainment. They're cultural movements shaping the identity of a generation. These genres, forged in the crucible of Nigeria's streets, now influence young people's dream, dress, and define themselves. But how far-reaching is this influence? News Central's Chidima Ona dives deep into this phenomenon, speaking with artists, industry experts, and everyday Nigerians to explore the transformative power of these street-inspired beats.
From Fela Kuti's revolutionary Afrobeat to the storytelling brilliance of contemporary Afrobeats, music has long been a vehicle for Nigerian youth to express their realities and ambitions. Music in Nigeria is more than entertainment. It's a reflection of our identity, our struggles, and our dreams. From the pulsating beats of Afrobeats to the fun lyrics of hip-hop, these genres have become the soundtrack of a generation, shaping how Nigerian youth see themselves and the world around them. But how deep does this influence go?
I think it's vice versa, in the sense that artists find the unique angle to interpret to their audience, and in a way where the audience can also relate to the artist, if you get what I mean. So it's like them picking one or two things from the society that their audience could easily relate to and interpret it in their music. So that's why Afrobeat is what it is today, because it's like the artists are speaking our language. They're speaking and talking about the things we can always relate with.
Afrobeats and hip-hop extend beyond the music itself. They influence fashion, language, and social behavior. Nigerian upcoming singer shares his creative process and how he intends to shape youth culture.
A lot of artists are influenced by a lot of music they've heard, you know. A lot. I would say it influenced the way I sing. It influenced my learning process. It influenced how I make use of my cultural sounds in my music. That's why you don't just listen to your own music, bro. Listen to good music. If you listen to good music, you produce good music, you create good music. Whatever you accept into your life is what you give out. So if you accept positivity, you give off positivity.
Beyond the music industry, Nigerians on the streets shared their thoughts on how these genres impact the youth.
Some of them, their music is meaningless. And some of them, when you listen to their music, you know that you gain one or two things.
Some music are good to be listening as a youth, even as a teenager, while some are not even good at all.
Whether it's through uplifting lyrics or beats that unite the streets, Afrobeat and hip-hop continue to shape the soul of Nigerian youth. As this sound continues to evolve, one thing is certain: the music of Nigeria is not just a reflection of the present, it's a roadmap to the future. In Lagos for News Central, I am Chidinma Ona.
Together by Chidinma Ona on the Nigerian music industry, Afrobeat and hip-hop. Now, human rights body Amnesty International has accused police authorities in Nigeria of using excessive force against demonstrators during the #EndBadGovernance process into Nigeria's harsh economic conditions. Months after the protests, Amnesty International claimed the police use of force during the demonstrations led to the death of some persons. The protests took place between August 1 to 10 across the country owing to the harsh economic conditions in Nigeria. Amnesty International said in a briefing published on Thursday, Nigerian police used excessive force against protesters during the nationwide #EndBadGovernance demonstrations between 1 to 10 August, killing at least 24 people in the state of Borno, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Jigawa, and Niger. It claimed those killed included 20 young people and older persons and 2 children. Thanks for staying with us now. Thursday morning, the Stilfontein Magistrate Court in Northwest Province in South Africa is set to be the focal point of a growing crisis as at least 300 illegal miners face justice following their arrest at abandoned mines in the area. These individuals were apprehended as they re-emerged from the depths of the abandoned mines where a booming illicit drug mining operation continues to thrive despite ongoing police efforts. Meanwhile, authorities remain vigilant, deployed to guard these sites. There are fears that many more miners, reportedly over 1,000, continue to work underground, navigating treacherous conditions for the promise of quick wealth. And now to stories outside the African continent, we cross over to the United States, where it has imposed sanctions on 21 top Venezuelan officials, accusing them of repression following President Nicolas Maduro's contested re-election in July. The sanctions target security and cabinet officials, including intelligence, military, and police chiefs, accusing them of suppressing protests and detaining opposition leaders. The U.S. Treasury stated that Maduro's government has engaged in widespread abuses, while additional visa restrictions have been placed on Maduro's allies. Venezuela has dismissed the sanctions of ridiculous, with Maduro calling them a desperate act.
De los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica sacó lo que ellos llaman sanciones contra un grupo de eminentes hombres de nuestro país. Historia de Ayacucho, y le voy a colocar la condecoración que estoy creando con el nombre de los 200 años de la gran victoria de Ayacucho a cada uno de estos hombres, de estos seres que han sido hoy agredidos. Si no fuera tan serio el tema de las agresiones a través de las llamadas sanciones, yo diría que es risible y ridículo lo que han hecho. Me atrevería a decir que son unos ridículos.
Now, Russia has launched a massive missile attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, according to Ukraine's energy minister, Herman Halushenko. Emergency power outages have been introduced as explosions have been reported in several cities, including Kiev. Early on Thursday, the Ukrainian Air Force issued a nationwide air raid warning due to the threat of missile strikes. This marks a second major assault on Ukraine's energy system this month as temperatures begin to drop. Russia has consistently targeted Ukraine's electricity network during the war. And now in business, the Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber, representing 700 members, has warned that it is becoming increasingly difficult to attract and retain investment in the metro due to its failure to effectively distribute electricity. The chamber told a public hearing on Eskom's tariff application that the quality of power supply in the metro is beyond unacceptable, with unplanned outages out of control. The chamber called for urgent intervention to rescue the metro's electricity distribution, including by Eskom, the energy regulator, and the National Treasury. It criticized the municipality's unsustainable electricity function, illegal connections, and meter tampering, which it says will cost the metro 1 billion rand this financial year. The chamber also criticized Eskom's overspending on power plant projects and high operational costs, calling for the regulator to review the application to reflect efficient costs. Now, National Foods Holdings, Zimbabwe's biggest and oldest food manufacturer, announced plans to take the company private and delist from the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, VFEX, which trades exclusively in US dollars. The company said it no longer requires capital from equity markets in the near term, reducing the advantages of maintaining a VFX listing. The National Foods will offer $23 million to buy back shares from public shareholders. The delisting is also due to South Africa's Tiger Brands and Insor Africa jointly holding a 75.18% stake, limiting the influence of smaller investors. National Foods said the move will grant it increased flexibility to streamline operations and concentrate on long-term strategic objectives. The VFX currently has 15 listings with $1.3 billion market capitalization. Now, Nigeria is at a pivotal moment, balancing bold economic reforms with the need to reassure its citizens and global partners. Under President Bola Tinubu's administration, transformative policies have drawn both criticism and praise, signaling a government intent on rewriting the nation's economic narrative. Nasir Agbalaya has more in this report.
Exports remain a lifeline for many economies in the global south. For Nigeria, they represent an indispensable revenue stream and a powerful tool for economic diversification. In Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, a crucial meeting of minds took place, uniting key agencies of government and the organized private sector. Their mission? To reshape perceptions of Nigeria's economy and chart a collaborative path forward. It started with suggestions of how to reduce troubling issues and stumbling blocks to ease of doing business, particularly in the business of exporting.
Sesame seed, crude, the waves, ginger as it is, and taking cashew as it is. The value addition, I need us to look at the possibility of also making China put on their protocol list those goods that we can add value to. Why can't I sell goods that have already been processed here and push to China? So I want us to look at that.
To this end, the CEO of Nigeria Export Promotion Council shared some collaborative insights.
In terms of value addition, we believe we have registered in our council a whole lot of exporters. Some of them are not really exporting. So one of the things we are looking at doing is to bring people together in terms of clusters. And we've already started doing that in terms of mentorship program. We've done some people that are exporting, but they don't have the experience. So we are merging them with institutions that have done a lot and they are learning.
As Nigeria takes bold steps to retool its economic future, the narrative is clear. Progress may be challenging, but it is achievable through unity, innovation, and resilience.
We are certified from the farm through storage, through transportation, through processing and export, that we teach operators in this space what is required. Sometimes it's just ignorance.
It would be amazing to see the transformation that is happening there through special economic zones that are being created. So it's important that we in Nigeria take notice of that and reposition ourselves towards its change.
More comments on the hurdles limiting competitiveness were echoed by the business owners present. Although no exact timeline for solutions was mentioned, different outcomes seems assured.
I've been working on the PEBEC reforms for nearly a decade now. All what we know and listening afresh with fresh eyes from this side of the table means that we'll continue to make sure that we work on streamlining those issues that the exporters have raised. They're valid points.
The bold steps taken by the Tinubu administration, though challenging, have been explained as necessary both at home and abroad. The government said it is laying the foundation for a robust economy driven by productivity and innovation. The execution of these pledges across diverse parastatals will go a long way, bringing about the prosperity desired in Nigeria.
And to sports now, Lagos will take center stage as it hosts the Junior EP World Cup on December 14th and 15th. This men's-only competition is set to feature participants from 13 countries, including Greece, the USA, and Hong Kong. Open to fencers aged 13 to 20, the tournament offers up to 32 world ranking points in a single elimination format. With individual and team categories, it serves as a key qualifier for the Olympics and other major fencing competitions. With Nigeria being the only sub-Saharan African country to host a fencing competition, Samuel Adeyinka, the president of the Nigerian Fencing Federation, and John Todd, the head of education at the Charter House, have emphasized the significance of the tournament. Still in sports, Nigeria and Botswana secure the top two spots in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Sub-Regional Africa Qualifier C in Abuja, remaining unbeaten in 4 games. These two teams now advance to the regional finals alongside Tanzania, Malawi, Zimbabwe and Kenya, as well as Namibia and Uganda, who are drawn directly into the finals. On the closing day, all 6 teams will compete, with Nigeria facing Botswana for the tournament trophy. Coach Stephen Tikolu expressed confidence in Nigeria's strong performance. The tournament, which began on November 23rd, concludes on November 28th at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. Despite defeats, Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast will aim to finish strong in their final matches. And that's all on the news at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. We told you that again, EFCC arraigned former Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello. We also mentioned that fire gutted Radio Nigeria office in Ikoyi. And finally, we said legal miners trapped in South Africa have appeared in court. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, StarTimes, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube.